Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Anna Ilhan. I am a part of the Here We Are Turkey network. And as quite a few of you know, Here We Are Turkey is the local chapter of the Here We Are Global Network. Here We Are, it has several chapters in about 28 different countries. And our aim is really just to support professionals and accompanying partners as they transition through careers on the move. So if you are interested in learning more about Here We Are Turkey and Here We Are or Here We Are Global, please do not hesitate to reach out to us via email. I will put our email address in the chat, but it is turkey@hereweareglobal.com. Like I said, I'll put that in the chat. So I am very happy to introduce to you our guest speaker today, and that's Tara Lutman. I always get your last name wrong, so I apologize. It's Ağacayak. It's the Yumuşak Gay that gets me confused every time. Yes, and so Tara was actually one of the first individuals that I met when I first moved here to Istanbul about 5 years ago. And I have always admired her ability to facilitate conversations across a broad spectrum of ideas and topics and perspectives. And of course, this coupled with her amazing positive attitude towards complex subjects makes her an incredible resource. And I'm delighted that she's part of the Here We Are Turkey network. And let's face it, anyone who's all about making technology or making the world better through technology is basically a kindred spirit of mine. So I love you even more for that, Tara. Today, Tara is going to share with us some of her insight in identifying and exploring what a bigger life could mean for all of us. So, Tara, I am passing the amblet on to you. And thank you. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Let's start with this slide. Do you see choose the bigger life?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Whoever said that. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, talking about a bigger life. This is my agenda for today. I want to talk about some principles of living a bigger life. What does that mean? What does a bigger life mean? And some principles that I kind of put under that idea. And then I would like to jump into charting your unique pathway to a bigger life. What does that mean for you? And then in charting a unique pathway, oftentimes challenges will come up, blocks will come up. So to head those off at the pass, we'll look at some of what those might be. And then I always like to give people something to leave with, something to do, something to walk away with. So I'll give you the opportunity to create a commitment, an action plan, something that you're going to walk away with to create your bigger life or take steps towards your bigger life. So just to begin, I mean, I kind of said hello to each other as we were coming on, had a little bit of chit chat, but one of the things I like about groups like this is the opportunity to network. So most of us are in Turkey, but not all of us. So if you would like, I would like to invite you in the chat to say your name, a link, maybe your LinkedIn link, your Instagram link, where people can connect with you, what you can offer to this network. If you're a volunteer, if it's your business, your job, whatever, what you can offer to the group, what you would like to get from the group, and then why you decided to attend today. So while I'm going forward, I invite you to, in the chat, introduce yourselves a little bit more and give people the opportunity to connect with you. So I don't know if I can see the chat from here. I think I will if it pops up. So go ahead and you can do a little bit of networking as I go forward. If you have any questions as I go along, put those in the chat. I am going to at different points ask you questions, and at the very end I can answer all your questions. So okay, I think I can see the chat. Okay, perfect. Okay, you guys go ahead and do the networking while I move forward. So here's a question that I want to begin with. What is the purpose of life? Okay, this is a very big question for a Thursday afternoon. But one answer that I got from a mentor of mine that I really, really liked was the purpose of life, she said, is not happiness, but it is fulfillment. So fulfillment of a purpose, feeling fulfilled that we are making a contribution, or that we are living life in the way that we desire. So if the purpose of life is fulfillment, and if that's what we're going to be talking about today, well, who am I to talk about this subject with you? Why am I talking to you about choosing the bigger life? So I just want to give you, as you are introducing yourself to each other, a little bit of my story. I was born and raised in Silicon Valley, and I studied psychology because I was very interested in human behavior. Why are we motivated to do the things that we do? How can we change our thought patterns and solve problems that we have, with psychologically. And so I wanted to study psychology. I wanted to help people. And then I pivoted and did something completely different. I started working for the US Department of Defense as a data analyst because they said I could get a free master's degree. So I studied information technology management for the Department of Defense. I helped design and build a large-scale Oracle data warehouse. So I started to understand data, designing large-scale projects and working on these kind of teams. And kind of my sweet spot was being right in the middle, being this bridge between people and technology. How do people design technology so that technology can help people? And it was in graduate school that I met my Turkish husband, which is how I ended up in Turkey almost 20 years ago. So in that time, I've done a lot of business development back and forth between US and Turkey and other countries. And in the story of my bigger life, when I first began in Turkey, I had a very small e-commerce business that I was selling products. And then I realized I could support other people by selling their products. So then it wasn't just about me, it was about me and 10 other artisans. And then I realized I could help more people if I didn't sell their products, but I taught them how to build their own businesses. So then I was able to scale from 1 to 10 to 1 to 1,000, 1 to 10,000. And as I've evolved in my own business, I decided that I could have a bigger impact if I work not with solopreneurs, but people building technology companies, scaling technology, because technology has the ability to solve great problems in the world at great scale. So I went back to my technology roots and I started working with tech startups. And so this has kind of been my career evolution, but I've always loved my expat community, people who are on the move and have to take themselves and their careers with them where they go. And a lot of times this means starting over, making new connections, building networks, and this kind of thing. So my mission at heart, on the most foundational level, is to help people live better lives. I want to see people be happier, healthier, wealthier, wiser, have better relationships, and overall to feel more fulfilled in life and to feel more hopeful for the future. I'm a personal development junkie, so I'm always looking at how can I improve myself, and how are these concepts things that I can also share so other people can learn and grow. With GoGlobal, I am a co-founding partner, and we believe that technology can help people live better lives. It helps solve the biggest problems for people on the planet. So we work on mobilizing resources. We help startups get investment funding. We help forge partnerships, open doors to markets, and we help take early stage tech startups global. I'm a board member at Ağacayak Women's Investment Platform, which is headquartered in Istanbul. And we help create more women investors, so increasing the wealth of women. and investing in more women-led companies. And I also have a coaching certification, and I work one-on-one with high-impact visionaries who want to leave legacies, and I show them how they can make a bigger impact. So all falls under this heading of helping people live better, more fulfilling lives. So again, the foundation for me is who you are on the inside, kind of your purpose, your person. What is the work you do, and how do you serve others? So this, as my story, is part of what I'm going to share with you today, these principles, this pathway, and this concept. So moving forward, let's talk about some of these principles. So where did this idea come from? What the foundation for what I'm going to talk about, this idea of a bigger life. I'm going to talk about seasons of life, feminine leadership, serving others, and leaving legacies. So one by one. So where did this idea come from? I don't know if you've heard of Gretchen Rubin. Her first really big book that she wrote was called The Happiness Project. And she has a podcast called Happier, and she talks a lot about principles and habits and ways of being that can help you live a better life, the life that will make you happier. And in one of her podcasts, she was talking about how her family wanted to get a dog. And she was undecided because she knew that she would be the one to take care of the dog. She had two daughters. Her daughters were going to go off to college, to university. Her husband was working full time. So she said, I know that I'm going to be the one to care for the dog. And right now my life is pretty good as it is. And so she was kind of weighing both sides of this issue. And she said, she looked at the research, and all the research said that, okay, so Francesca Lisa B, the dog, she said all the research showed that having a dog in your life really improves the quality of your life. And so her decision point, she said, which decision is going to give me the bigger life? And she said, I can stay comfortable without the dog, but the dog, even with the responsibilities and challenges, is going to give me the bigger life. So here's my first question to you. Are you at a decision point in your life right now where you're thinking about maybe taking on a new job, starting a business, starting or ending a relationship, moving to a different country, moving to a different city, moving to a different apartment, I don't know, new neighborhood? So is anybody now at a decision point in their life where this could maybe be a helpful way to make the decision? What will give you the bigger life? So if you can share that in the chat, which I cannot see right now. Let me see how I can see the chat and see what you guys are saying. Okay, here it is. Okay, hang on, I can't see it. Okay, yes. See, Sarah says yes. Okay, you don't have to share. You can if you want to. We can talk about it also at the end, but just, okay, this is big. Getting divorced, considering moving to Europe. Yes, agritourism. Okay, so this is big, so what's the bigger life going to be? So this is exactly, kind of where this concept comes from. What is the bigger life? So then moving forward, there are seasons in your life. So if you're getting a divorce, if you're getting married, remarried, moving, but also as we kind of age through life. So at this point, I want to put up a poll. So Anna, how are you doing with your technology? Can you put up a poll? I think maybe I have to stop sharing my screen, but maybe I don't. Okay, if you can all see this poll. Okay, so what age group do you fall into right now? Are you in your 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s plus? So I'll give you a few minutes to fill out this poll, and then Anna, I'll let you decide when to take it down. So these seasons of life, and especially I think we're all women here, especially for us, that we go through these different seasons. In our 20s, it's about kind of figuring out who we are, what we're about, what we want to do with our life, learning who we are, developing confidence, being awkward, finishing university, going into our first job. and you move into your 30s, and I think you're kind of moving up if you're in the corporate ladder, feeling more confident in your skills, taking on more responsibility, and then you move into your 40s. Okay, Anna, I don't know, can we see the results of the poll? Okay, so 73% of us are in our 40s. Okay, so this is really interesting. The rest in our 30s. Okay, so so I did another workshop called Harmony 365, and it was about work-life balance. And so most of the women were in exactly the same age group, you know, kind of mid-30s, 40s. And they were all getting that, yes, work-life balance, because they had kids that were in school, they were running companies or working on their career. So they had husbands. So this idea of work-life balance really hit them, you know, it was very topical. But there were women that were in their 50s, going into their 60s, and they were very comfortable in their life. And what I mean is they had already, their children were out of the house, maybe had started university. They didn't have the same work-life balance issues as they got into this next season of their life. So, so what I realized is we don't have the same issues. A bigger life for us in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s looks different. This is the point I'm trying to make, that these seasons in our life, they will change, and a bigger life for you may not mean more. It may actually mean less. It may mean slowing down. It may mean minimizing, but it could also mean more impact. So this is all to say there is no one definition. This is your unique question to answer, what this looks like for you. So it looks like we're all, you know, majority of us are in our 40s, some of us in our 30s. So here's my next question for you. You know, what season are you in? And what does bigger mean for you right now? So how would you define it? So for me, while you fill in the chat, for me, what bigger looks like is bigger impact, but with less effort. So I'm through Go Global, we are looking at how can we create more investment using less of our time. So it means taking on companies that are, you know, maybe not looking for $10,000 in investment, but 10 million. So we put the same amount of time, but we get a bigger return. And these companies are also making a bigger impact. So this is, for me, what a bigger life looks like, and also creating more time to be with my husband, with my family. For me, this is what a bigger life looks like. So I'm just going to go to the chat here. So next steps in my business, Sarah is looking at. Yeah, so what does bigger look like? What does that mean, next steps? And I think, Sarah, in your 30s, that's it. It's growth, it's expansion, it's doing what you're doing on a higher level. I think that makes a lot of sense. And again, this is very individual. You know, I cannot say what that is for you, but from what I've seen for women, especially going through these stages in their life, is there tends to be these kind of themes. So bigger life is life on my own terms without financial scare. Yes. And Ike, I don't remember how old you are, but I think being able to maybe stand on your own 2 feet. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but if you are looking at going out on your own and changing your complete geography, you're going for that. So being evolving, helping others reach their potential. Good, we're going to talk about service to others. B, generating more income while not working more. That's bigger. Monetizing some of my skills. Yes, excellent. Very good. Okay, I cannot see your faces. This is the way Zoom works. But that's why I appreciate you writing in the chat as you feel comfortable. Okay, so moving on. So feminine leadership. This concept came to me when I attended a women's leadership program called Women Leaders for the World. And they talked to us about the difference between feminine leadership and masculine leadership. And this is not the way women lead or the way men lead. It is not about that. In every person, there is masculinity and femininity. And And these are competencies, and we use them at different times for different purposes. So feminine leadership, well, I'll start with masculine leadership to contrast. So masculine leadership is hierarchical. So you can think like military is a great example. You have someone at the top and they pass orders down. And as the order gets passed down, it gets implemented. Masculine is concrete, top down. Feminine is more, you can think like a network model. So there are nodes in the network, there are connections in the network. And the feminine leadership is about inspiration, it's about community, it's about when one person stands up and takes a stand, they inspire or light up the other nodes in the network. So this is feminine leadership. And the feminine is our imagination, it is our emotion, it is our desire, but it is the masculine then that brings that into the concrete. So when we talk about living a better life and using principles of feminine leadership, that perhaps if you're thinking about moving to a different country, if you are plotting the steps of growth in your business, then perhaps you are inspired by other people around you, other people that you have seen that show you what's possible and what's possible for you. So this principle, bringing this into a bigger life, is where am I inspired? Where am I motivated? Where is my desire being brought out? So it's this principle that I wanted to share with you, that in living a bigger life, see where you are inspired and motivated and where your emotion starts to bubble up to the surface. So my next question for you is, what is inspiring you right now? Where are you feeling desire start to come to the surface? What is something you're very excited about? Where are the emotions pulling you? Who in your network is inspiring you? So this is my question for you now, that you can share in the chat or just to yourself think about, where is the inspiration coming from? So let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, beautiful, Monisha. Bigger life is bigger impact, bigger reach, knowing where to target efforts, good. More financial independence, good. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So good. Okay, you guys, I love what you're sharing. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. So this idea of serving others, Bengi, you mentioned this, Monisha, you mentioned this. So there's a beautiful story. When I graduated from university, 1995, the president of our university gave a commencement speech, and he said, "You are very lucky because I think it was less than 5% of people in the world are able to get a university degree." And so he said, "This degree is not for you. This degree is for all the people who could not graduate from university. And it is your duty and your responsibility to live your life and work for those people who were not able to get this higher education." And so that always stuck with me. You know, it's my degree is not for me. It's my responsibility to work for the benefit of others. And so, Monisha, what you just said reminds me of something I heard, and I'll find the source if you want me to. I can't remember, but he said, "Money is a reward for serving others. The more people you serve, the more money you will make." So as you think about increasing your impact, increasing the people that you touch, especially targeting the people that you are meant to serve, then money is a reward. So the more people you serve, the more money you will earn. And if you think about big corporations or organizations, the more people that they touch, the more money that is generated. At least I like to think about it this way. Now, to contrast that, I was listening to Elon Musk give an interview, and he said, this was in 2016, and he said, you know, there's a lot of talk about changing the world, making a difference, giving back. And he said, you know, you don't have that, but that could put a lot of pressure on somebody. He said, you don't have to change the world. You just create something that gives value to another person. It could be dinner that you make for your family. He was talking about designing a game. You know, it doesn't have to change the world, just creates value in another person's life. You know, I don't know, maybe making sure your husband's shirts are ironed, or filling someone's car with gas. I don't know. It doesn't have to be this earth-shattering, life-changing thing. And again, this is seasons in life, right? I mean, you might be a season in your life where you're kind of more quiet, calming down. Any place that you can create value. Maybe you make some cookies and you bring them to your neighbor. This is all about serving others. And so what is it, going back to seasons of life, what is it that's calling you right now? What is your area of service? Who are you serving? What are you doing? How are you serving them? So I'm going to go to the chat and see what you guys are saying. So B says, my best friend is a life coach. She always dreams and acts bigger. And I'm inspired by my walks in the park with my dog. So I clarify my ideas and emotions and recharge. I get back to work afterward. Nature can be very inspirational. I think animals also can be very inspirational and calming, and allow us to get into the feminine, the place where we are inspired and we can listen on a deeper level. EK says, abundant mindset, you see abundance everywhere. And it shows up in your life without worrying about money aspect. And I would love to reach that. That's beautiful. You know, EK, I like the idea that gratitude is the doorway to abundance. When you see how much you have, then you will see that everything is abundant. When you see, you know, the food you have in your refrigerator, the leaves on the trees around you, the number of cars that pass in front of your house, whatever it is, you can see abundance around you. You will always have abundance in your life. And B is agreeing with you. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to leaving legacies. So in this idea of seasons of life, as I think we're all women here, so I'm going to say, you know, as women go through these seasons, well, I have seen in the women that have come before me, that women who are my mentors, and one I was lucky to have as a client, so that I can use her as an example. She described how she had, through her life, been fortunate enough to have been mentored and taught by many strong leaders. And so she had compiled all of their wisdom and all of the training and education that she had received. And she said, now she would say, I'm angry, you know, these injustices in the world, the corruption that I see. And she was approaching 60 at this time. And she said, you know, I realized I could continue to be angry, or I could do something with all of the resources that I had. And so now she is building a big wellness and training center in Arizona. She's cataloging this on Instagram. She's showing step by step how she's building the center. But for her, this is the legacy that she will leave, taking everything that she has learned and gained and sharing it with others through this center that she's building. You know, a very simple example of leaving a legacy. My father said, you know, Tara, when I pass on, I'm going to leave you my baseball cards. And this is something I've always known of my father. He grew up loving baseball. He grew up following all the players. He still loves baseball. So you know, this is something he said he's going to pass on to me, a very small legacy that he's going to leave. But it's something that's been a theme all throughout his life. And I would go to baseball games with him as I was growing up. So this is a small legacy that he's leaving. We have with GoGlobal many technology companies that are building technology that is going to be a legacy. One is a education technology company that teaches children how to use digital money. So teaching these kind of financial skills to children and families. This is going to be a legacy that gets passed on. I've had other clients who have wanted to produce documentaries to talk about important subjects in their life that they want to leave these stories for others. And I was listening to this New York Times podcast, going back to nature, and it was talking about the life of trees. And it was talking about how trees have this network that we can't see, especially this underground network, and this the way that they would communicate with each other. And it was saying that after a certain stage in life, the trees would actually start to leave behind not just the seeds of the future trees, but they would also leave behind nutrients. And so it's built into our very nature, this desire to want to leave a legacy. So my question for you at this point is, and maybe if we're in our 30s and 40s, it might be a bit too early for us to think about exactly what our legacy is, because we're probably still building. But if you were to think about it right now, what is the legacy that you would like to leave? What is it that, or what area, or what sector, or what population? What is it that you would like to leave behind? Maybe it's about animals. Maybe it's about nature. Maybe it's about finances. Maybe it's about culture. I don't know, but in thinking about a bigger life and leaving something behind, what is it that's on your mind? So you're welcome to share in the chat, or kind of keep it to yourself as you like. So at this point, I'm going to check and see. What are you guys saying? As you talk about leaving a legacy, what is the relationship of the concept in regards to the seasons of life? Anna, is this a question, or are you taking notes about what I'm saying?
No, that's a question. I just forgot the question mark.
Okay, so the question is, as you talk about leaving a legacy, what is the relationship in regards to the seasons of life? Okay, so
I guess, Tara, just to clarify there, I think what I'm really asking is, what I imagined me doing in my 20s is completely different from now. I mean, where I am right now in my 50s.
Yeah.
So it's, so when I think of leaving a legacy, yeah, you think about leaving a legacy in like your 20s and everything, but now it's completely shifted. Yeah. So how do we really understand that relationship between leaving a legacy and your seasons of life?
Well, it's what you said is perfect. I don't think you can plan to leave a legacy in your 20s. I think you're still figuring out who you are. And as I said, this woman who was a client of mine, it wasn't until she was approaching 60 that she started thinking about it, using the word legacy. I think probably at this season in life, it's more like you probably see a problem around you, or maybe not even a problem, something that makes you feel uncomfortable, something that irks you, something that gnaws at you. And there's another person I follow, and I recommend everybody read his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I think he's in his 80s now. And for the past 20 years, he and his wife are billionaires. I mean, they've amassed a huge fortune. And he was saying, I'm at this age and I've got everything. He said, I've got money, success, I've got a great relationship. And he said, and I was not happy. He's like, what was missing? What was missing? And for him, it was a spiritual part. So I think, you can even get to 80 and it could look different. So it's why I talk about it's what it looks like right now. And I don't even know that you need to plan it, but maybe you need to more feel it. And it may be something that the seeds are being planted now, and you may not know for the next 10, 15 years what it's going to be, but you might be guided in that direction now by what's kind of on your radar, where the emotions are bubbling up. So in terms of seasons of life, I don't think there's a formula or a time, or you even maybe need to call it a legacy. So what this Rich Dad organization now is doing is they said, now we've set up a foundation or a trust that after we go, it's going to have, I don't know what they said, $100 million a year or something that was going to go to these causes. So it's, talk about living a bigger life, but also I don't know that they knew that going into it either. They just wanted to build a successful business, and they've built it around financial education. So I think you get led, and you also get sparked as you go along. And so I don't know if this answers your question, Anna, but I don't know that there's a right answer either. And if you have a follow-up, let me know. B says more kindness and justice. Federica, something related to food. Beautiful. Monisha, giving disadvantaged children and marginalized people hope for the future. Beautiful. Burju, leaving my children principles, setting an example while they fulfill their potential in the area they choose and being confident about who they are. Beautiful. I mean, children, what a legacy, right? Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on then at this point. Charting your unique pathway. And I think, Anna, this goes back a little bit to your question, maybe, you know, how do you do this? So where does this come from? So for me, these are desire, imagination, emotion, feminine. They are, you know, kind of the intangibles, not concrete, but they are things that give us inspiration. So where is the desire coming from? What in terms of emotion is very strong, either a very strong pleasurable feeling, like this would feel so good to do this for these children, this would feel so good to do this about food, this would feel so good to do this about animals, or it's a really strong negative emotion, like I just cannot stand this anymore, I cannot stand for this anymore, this must change. So in your unique pathway, it's a very strong emotion. And it may come to a point, and it may take time for this to come up until it's, you know, that's it, no more, I can't stand this anymore. So where is the desire, where is the strong emotion? And then one thing that is very powerful in creation is imagination. So if you can imagine what the situation looks like after it's transformed, what does these children's lives look like after they're transformed? What does nature and the environment look like after it's transformed? And so in the work that I have done with my clients, what I have seen is that this, more than almost anything, imagining what is possible on a bigger scale, on a larger scale, is a very powerful driver for action. And so I'll give you an example from my own life. It's a trivial example, actually. But when we found out we were moving to Ankara, I didn't know where we were going to live. But I knew what I wanted our new home to feel like. I wanted it to be in a central neighborhood. I wanted to have a lot of space in our home. I wanted the home to have lots of good light. I wanted it to be airy and breezy. I wanted good neighbors. I wanted a walkable neighborhood. So I didn't know where that was, but I knew what it felt like. And so I exercised on a daily basis, kind of this feeling, what it felt like to be in that kind of home. And, you know, I'm living in that home now, and it's even more beautiful than I had imagined. But feeling the emotion and imagining in my head what I wanted it to look like and feel like helped me attract it to myself, helped me attract myself to it. So using this example, and there's a really good book that I can recommend. It's called Write It Down, Make It Happen. And in this book, she gives lots of examples how imagining and writing down what it is that this looks like once it's transformed can be very helpful in creating it, in creating the plan, in creating the structure. So using these feminine principles of desire and emotion and then imagination can help chart the pathway to its creation. So now I talked about challenges, because you can, with this strong emotion, be very excited, be very motivated, be very inspired. And then what happens? You know, someone tells you you're crazy, you're too old, you're too young, it's too late, you don't have enough money, you don't have the right training, you don't have the network. Maybe you believe something about your personality or your character, or someone told you something when you were a child about your ability. All these things that can come up to kind of thwart what it is that you desire to create for this bigger life. the idea that it has to be perfect before you can begin, before you launch it, before you create it. So what are challenges that you perhaps are facing, that you foresee, voices in your head that you hear? If there's something that you want to share here now, we can kind of do a little bit of laser coaching. We can do a peer coaching and help each other. I'm also happy, to follow up later with it. If you like, you can email me and see what are these challenges that are coming up for you. But, I said, what are the challenges good for? And one of my mentors, Marianne Williams, said, as soon as you decide you want to do something in your life, like, let's say, she would say, like, I want to be less angry, I want to be less angry at people in my life. She said, then the universe will send me 10 things that just piss me off. And it's because this is a skill, this is a muscle that you're going to develop at this point. So the challenges are really just to help you chart the path even more clearly. That if the inner critic is coming up, to deal with the inner critic. If the external critics are coming up, to deal with the external critics. Because in the journey toward a bigger life, if you are spending time with these voices, with these blocks, with these challenges, then you are not spending energy on creating the bigger life for yourself. So let's see, Christy, body positivity, beautiful. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Chrissy and Ilke are connecting on something there around body positivity. So this is why I like these events, because we get to connect with each other on the things that we're working on. So that's a great example. So challenges are really to help you clarify your path, and then get the blocks out of the way so that you can focus on what it is that you're creating. All right, so I promised you, and my intention and my desire for you is that when we close today, that you leave with something that is going to be useful to you to take action. So I invite you to, as I kind of talk you through it, put down on paper, in your heart, somewhere, take a note of what your deep desire is right now. What is it that is calling you? What does the bigger life look for you? And then give yourself a time frame. So by the end of this week, by the end of this month, by the end of this year, in the next 5 years, some time frame that you would like to see a transformation, something achieved. And then see what challenges will that you can anticipate that are going to thwart you. Where is it going to come from? Is it going to come from a mother-in-law? Is it going to come from a boss? Is it going to come from family responsibilities? Where are the challenges going to come from? And when you can anticipate what they are, then you can go seek support for yourself. So if the challenges are family, if the challenges are, I don't know, if you're trying to lose weight and it's food, if it's money, where do you need to go get support for yourself? Do you need to get a mentor? Do you need to get a coach? Do you need to get an accountability partner? Do you need to take a class? Do you need to learn something new? So as you anticipate the challenges that are going to thwart you, where can you go get support for yourself? And then I invite you to make a commitment to yourself about your next step. What is the next step that you're going to take? And it can be anything. It can be saying yes to something. It can be saying no to something. It can be enrolling in a class. It can be sitting down with your calendar to sort out your schedule. It can be having a conversation. So what is your next step that you're going to take? And what commitment do you make to yourself? So, I invite you to share if you would like to share. I have a mentor and she says the future is created in conversation. So this is, as much as you feel comfortable, a conversation. If you have a friend, go send, your commitment on WhatsApp or something that you share with someone. So I invite you to take this time to make this commitment to yourself so that when we hang up today, you've taken an action. And with that, I'll invite you to share, if you like, your top takeaways, what it is you're going to walk away with today, something new you learned, or something new you learned about yourself, or something you were reminded of, something you liked, something you were inspired by. What is it that you're going to walk away with today?
Well, Tara, I'll start this off. I actually found it very interesting when you look at the difference between the feminine and masculine leaderships, because I find myself always thinking, when you think of a leader, you naturally think of those masculine leadership skills.
Yeah.
But after you started like explaining some of the importance of more of these feminine, these softer skills, and it makes a lot of sense. And we've recently, I mean, there's a lot of talk nowadays about soft skills, the importance of empathy and things like that. And so that really does come down to the feminine skills. So that's really, I mean, that's a big takeaway for me, is to stop thinking, my oil and gas life mindset of you got to be strong, you got to be assertive. No, I mean, the importance of having empathy and taking others into consideration and all of those more softer feminine skills is just as important.
Yeah. Yes, very good. Thank you. Yeah, and they work together.
Exactly.
They serve each other. And so I think personally, we can dispense with a lot of the kind of man-woman charged conversations and talk about, what does this situation need? Does it need more of the feminine? Does it need more of the masculine? And that's not to say it needs to be a man or a woman, but this is what this situation needs. This is what the situation needs. And I have a friend in Silicon Valley, and she teaches a class in a school of engineering exactly about this. I mean, engineering is a very masculine kind of profession, I would say. And so she comes in and talks about where the feminine also can serve in that. And she gets hired a lot to help people choose the right candidates for jobs. Like, does this need more kind of relationship kind of skill set, or does this need more, ordering kind of structured kind of skill set? So I think it takes away a lot of the charged conversation around, men and women.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Tara,
Yes.
can you hear me? This is June from Berlin. Hope you can hear me. I've got to go in a few minutes, but I do have a question. Thank you for the lovely, inspiring presentation. Let me put my camera on so you can also see me. I am here. You mentioned about people have blockages, blocks through these external critics, and these blocks you from creating the bigger life in you. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yes.
I would just like to know, like, what is that powerful question that helps people unblock it? Because sometimes when you're blocked, you don't see beyond the blockage, and it's so difficult to actually see what that bigger life is when you're so sucked into this tunnel, this hole that blocks you. So what is it that you say or you use to turn that around? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, beautiful. Okay, very good. It is. So what's coming up for me to answer your question? It's internal. I can tell you for me what I do and what I would say to a client who came to me with this question. Ask the question, what is blocking me? What is the block? So you can do it in journaling if you're a writer. You can go on a walk, go in nature, and have this be like a mantra, like a question. You can, before you go to bed at night, say, show me in a dream, give me the words. What is the number one thing that is blocking me from a bigger life, from losing weight, from getting this job? What is it that I need to know that I don't know? What is it I need to see that I don't see? And then you can also, this is something I find very helpful. Sometimes the block can be terrifying. If it goes back to a trauma or something that we've blocked in a place that maybe it was so traumatic. I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, June, but you can also say, I'm willing to see what the block is. I'm willing. So, and then if it is so traumatic, let's say, then you will be shown in very gentle ways. And it will be like, let's say it's five, you have to go down 5 layers to find what it is. First, the first layer will be unveiled, and then the second layer, and then the third layer. So that just to kind of in your heart, in your intention, just be willing. I'm willing to see what's blocking me from where I want to go, and I'm willing that I be shown. And you know what happens? Someone will recommend a book. You'll watch a movie. You'll hear a song. You'll have a dream. You'll have a conversation, and you'll start to make the connections, and you'll say, "This is it." Or sometimes for me, it's like 3 things. 3 things will happen, and they'll be very similar. I'll hear the song 3 times, or someone will recommend the book 3 times, or something, and then it's like, okay, this is it. There's something here. So I see you shaking your head, June. Maybe it's landing. If it's not, let me know if it is.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I have to leave now because I've got another event to join. Thank you so much, Farah.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Take care. Okay. More takeaways. Sarah, I'm ready to play bigger and be bigger. Lack of clarity. Okay, Sarah, something beautiful that I heard just maybe in the past month was action brings clarity. So if you don't have clarity to move forward, just move forward and you will get clarity. Just take a step, any step, I don't care, you will get clarity. Monisha says, you can make an impact by adding value to someone, no matter what the action may be. Doesn't matter, large or small. Lisa, it's nice to learn and remember we all have very similar struggles and we're not alone. And where do I go from here? And I think, this is also why I really appreciate this group and groups like this. And I think especially for women, because we work well in community. We work well in kind of this kind of peer support kind of thing. So one thing that when I first moved to Turkey was finding other people like me. For me, it was other foreign women married to Turks, for example. And it was like, then, the problems I'm having in my marriage are not me and my husband. The problems I'm having in my marriage are, women who marry Turks. So this is normal. And, there's a way to get over it. And my marriage is not doomed. I just need to figure out how to deal with this thing. It's very, very powerful and empowering. Okay, Bengu is sharing her social responsibility project. Thank you, Bengu. Ike says, finding out what I don't want is powerful. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. And it's like you get what you focus on. So if you're focused on what you don't want, I don't want this kind of job. I don't want those kind of clients. I don't want these kind of friends. Then it's almost like those are the things that keep coming toward you. I don't want that. But when you can identify what it is, and then you can say, okay, so if I don't want that, then what it looks like is this. And you start to create a structure and a format about what it is that you do want.
Sarah,
yes.
Apparently I'm stuck on this leaving the legacy thing. So, because I have another question in regards to that.
Sure.
So what is really the difference between serving others and leaving a legacy? Because in a way they kind of sound the same, or they kind of play off of each other.
Yeah. Well, what does it mean to you, Anna?
Like I said, they kind of play off each other. So to me, there is definite synergies, especially when you talk about no matter what you do, as long as you're helping someone, like you said, ironing your husband's shirts, or, cooking dinner, that's helping someone. But in a way, that's also, that's serving someone. So how do you make that into leaving a legacy?
I think the legacy for me has some longevity. It's, I can think about, like, you donate money to a university and then you get your name on the building, and then that building lasts, I don't know, 50 years or something. Ironing your husband's shirts, maybe it'll last a week or something. But perhaps the love that is generated in that act, then he creates a memorial fund in your name later, and the Ana Ilhan scholarship for students or something. So I think they do play off of each other. And a legacy can serve others for 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 200 years. If you plant trees in a forest, for example. It does both. I think the idea of longevity for legacy for me has longevity. It's something that lasts after you're gone and does serve others in some way. But I think when we talk about living a bigger life, if we just talk about building something for ourselves, I don't know that it has longevity. It maybe lives and dies with us. But if we are talking about serving others and creating something that's big, it will have this longevity, and also call something more out of us to do something for someone else. And I can share with you in my journey, first coming to Turkey and having the culture shock and being newly married, I had depression, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but for me, the depression was about myself. I feel bad. I'm upset. This is hard. Poor me. But then when I started serving others, somehow the depression goes away because I'm not so focused on myself. And there is something that happens when we are doing something for others, that somehow we get the energy, and we get the resources, and we get the guidance, and we can, this idea that the money is a reward for serving others, and the more people you serve, the more money you will make, because the money is currency and currency is energy. So you get resources to support whatever it is, the work that you're doing, whether it's money or volunteers or partners or time, whatever it is, that these things will come into your life somehow. So does that answer your question, Anna?
Yeah. Sure. Well, I guess in my mind, a legacy can be, it doesn't have to be monumental. But I agree, there has to be some type of longevity to it, something beyond. And you use the example of Elon Musk saying it could be a game.
Yeah.
As long as it reaches others.
Yeah, there's some value in someone else's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be, I don't have to leave $1 billion like that. Legacy can be, like I said, my dad's baseball cards. Right. Legacies to me. And Burcu said, just leaving these values in her children. That's something that will live on, and they will pass on to their children. So. Yeah.
So Tara, if someone is interested in reaching out to you and asking, either working with you or wanted to have a follow-up question, what is the best way to connect with you?
Okay, good. I'm going to put my email address here.
Okay.
And I can't talk and type at the same time. So I
don't care what anyone says, you can't multitask. At least I can't.
So I'm putting my email address in here, Tara@GoGlobalAdvisory.com. So, please reach out to me. If it's a Go Global project, we have 3 pathways. We have a growth pathway for startups. We have an innovation pathway for corporates. We have an expansion pathway for investors. If it's someone who's interested in becoming an investor, women's investment in this kind of platform, I'm happy to connect you with Aria. If you are interested in talking about a legacy or a project, or perhaps interested in coaching, I'm happy to talk about that with you too. And I create a very bespoke kind of packages depending on what it is you want to create. So just reach out to me by email, and I'm happy to talk about any of these things. Anything that came up today that we talked about, you want to go deeper, I'm happy to talk about that too. So it would be my pleasure. So anything else? Any other comments? Any other takeaways? Any other, if anybody needs something from this group, if they're looking for, I see Bangyu there's some conversation in the chat about that. Please also share that here. Thank you, Chrissy. Anything else you want to share about the legacy you're building or the bigger life you want to build? Okay.
Well, Tara, thank you very much for taking your time to talk with us today. I think it's a lot to digest, but definitely worth it, and a lot to think about.
Well, enjoy that, the thinking,
Yeah.
the feminine, being in the thinking, the questioning, the exploring, that's the feminine. So taking action is the masculine. So I will leave you all with that. And I thank you all for coming, especially, not especially all of you. I was going to say, especially, especially the people I know, and especially the new people, but that's everybody. So thank you all for coming and contributing, listening, supporting one another. Yes, Burju. All righty. All right, well, I look forward to, connecting again in our group and the next event that we have, and connecting with you all however we do next time.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, this has been great.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, take care.
Bye.